Kaniwaria Mania. Hello, everyone. It's January 16th, and greetings on a beautiful sunny day from sunny Colorado. It's 50 here. It's very chilly other places in the world, but we're about to go into sub-zero in 2 days. So we're taking advantage of the sun today. Our theme, as we've been talking, is Amor Fati, which is a Marcus Aurelius. Well, it's a Latin word, but it's associated with Marcus Aurelius. And it means not to merely bear what's necessary, but to love it, to love all of it, to love that which happens. And there's a flame here. And the whole notion is that how can what we go through be used to fuel the flame? And what is that flame? That's going to be the question for today. What is your flame that you want to fuel? What is it? What do you want to fuel? What do you want fuel for? Because if you don't know that, you actually might be missing out. So I'm channeling the Council on Harmonization. They are a vast network of guides, and they are very galactically oriented today. Like I see them in this very big galactic realm that's like a galactic city, but it's comprised of many of the guides we know, like Yeshua and Mother Mary and many, many others. And so in the context of what we were speaking about earlier, which was, why are things hard? What do we do about this year? It's gonna be really big stuff happening as always. The theme that the guides want to focus on actually in relation to this is, so if you don't know what you're fueling, what flame you're fueling, you might want to get clear on that, because they show me an image of a steam engine pulling a big, huge train. And so there's a huge pile of coal in the engine. And I mean, back in the day, the engineer or someone had to shovel coal into the fire to make the steam engine go forward. And, in that context, everybody knows what that fire is for and what the coal is for, and it works really well, and you get to your destination. So they're actually using that as a very profound metaphor right now for taking what goes on. And, if you want to consider what's going on in the world, that it's new, some of it's new, some of it just is the same as always, strife, conflict, what have you, but also lots and lots of beauty, lots of grace, lots of miracles happening, lots of babies being born, lots of healthy people. It's not all gloom and doom. Regardless, how clearly do you know your destination and like your why? Why would you even want to turn experiences or understandings or hardships into something better? If you aren't grounded in your why, then it makes it makes you a lot more susceptible to being at the whim and mercy of what happens. So in that case, you can feel blown about in the wind. You can feel, victimized. You can feel lots of things. You can think yourselves that. So we started off the year actually with a one-time masterclass to help you plan your year with spirit. And that's still available if you're interested. But it was very purposeful to call in divine intervention for what you want, because divine intervention exists. And what you want is really, really important to know. It doesn't mean you always focus on it, but it gives you parameters for how to navigate. And so if you know what you want, you really can start to say, oh, well, I know where I'm going, and I know I'm being guided, and I know it's for a purpose. My soul has a purpose for me. I have a purpose for me. And so this thing must be for that. How? And then you can start to ask yourself, well, how is it serving me? How is having this illness serving me? Because Linda just shared, like, she was ill for 2 weeks, and that doesn't feel great, and she couldn't move, but she listened to 2 amazing books or more, and she got a lot out of it, right? So way to go, fueling your purpose, what you're doing with something, even in the midst of what could seem like a curse, or could seem like it's against you. So we don't mean to minimize anything that happens, but we're going to go a little deeper. So I'm going to get a little more deeply into the messaging with the guides, because they want to do an adjustment. They want to actually do an energy adjustment, an attunement for about your perceptions, to assist you in clarifying the movement and direction and focus you're in. So if you're a yes to that, just say yes to the universe. Yes, I will allow an energy adjustment and attunement, and show me what I can know from this on this day. Is kind of just say that internally, allow that. You have free will, and it's all happening for you in this context. So Amani Ka Arya Awarya. If you would imagine yourself opening, kind of unbuttoning your perspective, like from your heart up through your headspace. Imagine almost actually like you're like an astronaut, and you take off the astronaut helmet, and it doesn't matter, you're not going to explode in the atmosphere. You just take off that helmet that might have been blocking some of your perceptions. Allow something to slough off that may have been covering your visioning of how you're seeing things. That's the tenor for this. And imagine and allow that you can wake up from this transmission with a brand new perspective that sticks, where you've literally changed on a dime, and you can go forth with that new perception, because that kind of opportunity it always exists. It seems like it has to be hard, but it doesn't always have to be hard. If you have the inner will, if you call in your own sobriety internally and your own sovereignty, you can make snap decisions that are to your benefit at any moment. And that's actually what we'd like for you to start experimenting with, because time is quickening, and the vibration where you live now is a lot more heightened, and you have the power to shift and change at any moment. It can be, and it is that quick. And that would be one thing we would love to leave you with today, is the experience of the exponential power that you have to experience shifting based on what you determine within yourself to be true and desirable, and to shift it at a moment's notice and to go for it. So what is it that keeps that from happening? That's often a lot of sludge from beyond what is beyond your comprehension. Consider that a lot of times you're stifled by sludge of not being able to understand what is actually beyond your comprehension, when really you don't need to understand everything. You need to remember that you can have the experience that you wish to have, and have it occur at the ready without having to know all the answers and have all the pieces in place. That really gets to a bigger point about what we are talking about when we talk about living in the present moment. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know everything. You do have to know who you are. You do have to know where you want to be going. And you do have to know why you're on this planet to some degree. It'll make it a lot more easy. But that doesn't have to be a massive conjured reason. It's more like, well, I'm here on purpose. This must be purposeful, or it wouldn't be happening, and I wouldn't have created it for myself, because I'm the creator and I created this, and everyone around me is in my creation. So can that be enough? Can that be enough? And if everyone around you is in your creation and there's some creation of it that you don't like, can it be enough to close the door and walk away from it without having to explain, without having to understand everything, without having to delve in so deeply all the time? You don't have to. When you know who you are and that you're responsible and where you want to be going, those three things make it a lot easier to make snap decisions. We're not talking about being irresponsible. We're talking about being very responsible, but navigating along with the quickening pace of what's happening in our world, because the timelines are quickening. And as the quote said from Yeshua, you're here but a blip on a screen in terms of the soul's, your overlighting soul's experiences that lives eons and eons. This life of 80 years or 100 years or 50 years is like, it is such a blip. So that's not to say that there's a problem with letting time go and taking your time. But when you're in your knowing of who you are and that you're here on purpose and what you want, doesn't it make things a lot more easy to navigate? So if you're not so clear on any of those three factors, they show it in a triangle. It's like a kind of like as a secret or as a recipe. I know who I am. I know why I'm here. It must be on purpose. And I know where I want to go. Then you can move easily. You can say, like when an opportunity comes up, you can say, oh yeah, I want to experience that, because that's in alignment. That feels really right because it's part of my plan. I came here for that kind of experience. That's what I like. That's taking me further into my destiny of living a life of joy, or whatever you're doing, your why. It's a way, that lens alone. Okay, so they're showing this very, very practically. So they showed to strip away like the outer helmet or shell, or kind of whatever's been blocking your vision, essentially, as if you had a box or like a shell over your head. You've taken that off. And then imagine a triangle with these 3 points, one above, one at your left shoulder, one at your right shoulder. I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and I know my why. What if those are your signposts for navigating, and you see the world based on that framework, and then what you see and what you experience has to be part of that. And that gets to this Amor Fati, like everything, whatever happens, I love it and I use it to fuel myself. It's the fuel that keeps me going. That's what we want to convey today in terms of a lighting within you, another candle of sovereignty, encodement within you. that you keep doing also, because you keep lighting up your own destiny. As you keep lighting up your own destiny, you're actually lighting up your own self and your own divine genome, your genes. Your body lights up when you do things that give you pleasure and that are in alignment, doesn't it? So this is a very concrete, tactile, structured gift, if you want to take it as that today, as a structure, a tool that's a structure for seeing the world the way you want to see it and navigating. So they want you to take a moment. If you haven't had a clear definition, take a moment, and I'm just going to be quiet for a few moments to be sure you know the three things. I know who I am. I know why I'm here, and I know where I want to go. I know what I want, even if that's very simply defined. If there's any of those three things you still need to fill in the blank on, then go ahead and sit for this brief moment and fill that in. I know who I am. I know why I'm here and it's on purpose. And I know what I want. And we're just going to be harmonizing your energy field. This is a way to experience oneness, is what they're showing. Well, to experience staying in the vibration of oneness. You're always oneness in our perspective, but it's a way to experience the harmony of staying in oneness as you go about your day. Remembering, oh yeah, it's because I know who I am. I know I'm this. That's why I want to do that. I know my purpose. I'm just here to have fun. That's why I want to do that. It doesn't have to be difficult. But they're also showing that triangle has 3 circles, one on each corner, and it actually is a sacred geometry shape. So a triangle with 3 circles, one on each point. So this is part of a deeper cosmic navigation law, which is why they're sharing this. So whether you have a sticky note or a notebook, just be sure you can write those 3 things and that you know what they are, and keep those keep those in your vision. Keep those in a place where you don't forget when something might come along and knock you out of alignment slightly or in a big way. We'll say slightly because it's always just slight from our perspective. Feels much more down here though. So as you're pondering this, this is crystallizing within you, this notion. And actually what they're showing me is this triangle with 3 circles on the corners is, it's actually a small piece of Metatron's cube, that sacred Merkaba imagery. So that's why they're keyed in with that. It's one dimension of your multidimensionality represented by Metatron's cube, which is a multidimensional pyramid structure, interlocking pyramids. So if this has resonated, if it resonates and you feel called, if you feel called to share anything of who you are or what you gather, we would love to hear for a few minutes. And if you feel called to sit in this energy for a few more moments, even after this call, and let it congeal around you, coming from an idea into gel within you, then you might sit with it to help it contextualize into your life. It could also be another way to let this kind of teaching form some more would be to take a piece of paper and have those three tenets, your three knowings, deep knowings, and go back, say, over the past 2 or 3 months and look at the events that have happened and say, I know why that happened. That happened for me, and here's how. Take your power over them. I know why it happened, and here's why. Take your power, because it's all here for you. I know why that happened. Here's why it happened. It's pretty powerful. They just kind of put all that back into perspective of what that teaching we talked about with Yeshua was like. Take responsibility and be who you came here to be. Be who you came here to be and know who you came here to be. All right. Thank you all. This has been a beautiful transmission. This is the Council on Harmonization, and we are an interdimensional group of beings with you always, here for you. Just call on us, and we welcome communion on the inner planes with you at any time. Namaste. All right. And I would just love to hear if any of you would like to share